You have an opportunity to get closer to the client needs and expectations and really elevate yourself out of that foundational, more menial labor.
Welcome to AI Factor, coming to you from the NASDAQ market site. Today we're sitting down with Kern Schireson, CEO of Known, to dive into how AI is reshaping the advertising and marketing industry. Thanks so much for being here, Kern.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the biggest challenges you see facing the marketing industry today?
As far as challenges, I think there is a question about keeping up with the pace of change, with AI and with all the technology and the globalization of our industry. There are so many platforms out there, so many ways for brands to bring their message to market. Oftentimes clients need to make tough choices. They need to come up with new strategies and ways to introduce their message to really break through.
And what role do you see AI playing in tackling some of those issues?
AI hits squarely on a lot of those things. And as a technique for really taking broad arrays of complex information and quickly consolidating that, AI does a great job. So it's a real asset to us as we look to work through a bunch of complex decisions on where and how to introduce messaging, where it'll be most persuasive to our clients' audiences. AI gets us there faster. It can also help us tune the message for an individual audience member. Most of the messages we deliver as advertising agencies, as marketers, are one-to-one. And so that creates a new opportunity to really tune our message to that individual viewer. If you want to do that manually, that's an insurmountable level of content that you need to create. But if you have AI, tuning and optimizing the creative iteration for the individual audience at the particular time of day, place, context, platform in which they're receiving it, and you can do that quickly and efficiently, that creates opportunities that never existed before.
Right, and so one of your tools is the Big Lebowski, an AI chatbot. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how you're employing that to help your clients?
We named the Big Lebowski back when it was doing one or two things. And mainly what we were using the Big Lebowski to do was generate text strings for us to use in search advertising. And so we created this bot that really understood different audience segments and could help us speak their language. So you could talk to the Big Lebowski and you could ask it, for example, if I were a Midwestern mom with a couple of kids in junior high school and high school, and I was shopping for back to school clothing, what would I search for? What would I type into that search bar? And the Big Lebowski would really embody that persona and generate some search terms. And what we found with successive tuning of that capability was that it was generating much more efficient search terms. It was actually getting closer to the language that that person in question, that audience in question, would use when they went to Google. From there, we started building out more sophisticated segment simulations, more sophisticated personification. And so now the Big Lebowski is used across a bunch of areas of our business to really help us get inside the head of different audiences that our clients want to target.
I read that the Big Lebowski went through 80,000 subreddits about chicken sandwiches. Is that right, for Shake Shack?
The Big Lebowski loves chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went through 80,000 subreddits in just a couple of minutes.
And it helped Shake Shack beat sales benchmarks by 31%. Can you tell me a little bit about how it did that?
In that case, what we wanted the Big Lebowski to do was identify the specific subreddits where the right audience was showing up and having a conversation that was contextually appropriate to the message that Shake Shack wanted to deliver. Shake Shack wanted to really highlight the fact that they were still using organic chicken, the highest quality ingredients, and that they were open on Sundays. And so there was a little bit of a jab at Chick-fil-A there.
Right.
And they wanted to land that with the right audience, a persuadable audience that cared about those issues, but they didn't want to do it just all over Reddit in places where that ad or that message would feel misplaced, would feel like it was an interruption of the content and the dialogue that was happening. So the Big Lebowski helped look at the dimension of audience and the context of the conversation in that particular subreddit to say, where is this going to land where it actually feels like it makes sense for people who are likely to be persuaded by it? And so the intersection of those two questions was really where it helped us zoom in, and the performance speaks for itself.
So AI is still very much in its early stages, and this is just one example of where it can help boost a company's sales and boost their performance. Do you have any other figures or benchmarks that you can share to illustrate how AI is helping you help your clients?
Well, I think it's helping at both ends of our process. I mean, certainly when it comes to the precision with which we target, which we identify audiences, and then pinpoint the platforms, the conversations, the shows where the advertiser's message is most contextually appropriate and is most likely to have a persuasive impact on that audience. AI helps us do that. It helps us do that at speed and scale. And because we can run so quickly, we're also taking the information about what happens before, during, and after each exposure to advertising and cycling it back into the system to make those decisions better and better every few minutes, not every few months. So it's gotten us a lot quicker at making the right kinds of media decisions for our clients. It's also helping on the creative side of the business, as I said, with customization at scale, with the personalization of those messages to specific audiences, specific locations, specific ways of communicating that just have a higher impact. For example, we did a Super Bowl ad this last year, and we used John Stamos, we used a bunch of AI, we used a bunch of local technology to make sure that if you were watching the Super Bowl and you were in Cincinnati, Ohio, you got a slightly different version where John Stamos said, "Hello, Cincinnati" to you, as opposed to just one national version. So if you were in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, or suburban Las Vegas, you got a different version of that ad using some of this technology. And we were able to do that and finish it and execute it because we have a nimble process that leverages AI at the edges.
For people in the advertising and marketing business, do you think that these efficiency gains and all of these other benefits could also pose some risks to their job security?
Job security depends on your ability to really add value to a situation. And when you see a new technology coming in that delivers some fundamental capabilities, some foundational capabilities in your space, that creates an opportunity for you to adapt and for you to move, let's say upstream, for you to provide different value that technology doesn't provide. When we got word processors, it got easier to type things. AI makes it easier to create things. And so if your job is really living in the baseline process of those things, you have an opportunity to do more interesting work. You have an opportunity to express human creativity, ingenuity in a different way. You have an opportunity to get closer to the client needs and expectations and really elevate yourself out of that foundational, more menial labor. That's the promise of all technology from my perspective, and it's as true with AI as it has been with any of the digitization or fundamental computer technology that's come out in the last couple of decades. It's supposed to make us better and faster and smarter and more efficient, and it is doing that. So make sure you're doing the right job, and I think that's where real job security comes from, whether it's in the face of AI or globalization or market shifts. Do things that add value.
Great, thank you so much for being here, Kern. This was a great
My pleasure.
chat. Thanks for watching. I'm Rocio Fabro for Quartz. Stick with QZ.com for more.